7:35 AM 560 traffic center time. Here's Jim Talamonte.
In Naperville, the intersection of Book Road and Rickard is closed due to a crash. See a big jam on the northbound tri-state Cicero Avenue to the Stevenson with a crash in the right lane. Delays on the Reagan Tollway from the Aurora Toll to Eola and 22nd York. Northbound Veterans Memorial from 143rd and Archer to the Des Plaines River Bridge. From Boughton to St. Charles and Army Trail to 290. Eden's 22 minutes, Lake Cook to Junction. Kennedy, 51 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, heavier than the Express. Eisenhower, 58 minutes, 390 to downtown. Stevenson, an hour and 4 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Ryan, 37 minutes from 95th. I-57, 32 minutes, siding to the Merge Bishop, 428. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. And your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From our 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center, sunny and beautiful today. A high near 70, patchy clouds, and 55 overnight. Currently 53 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Watch today's show live right now on the Income Store live video stream at 560theanswer.com.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. You know what? I am a free trader, so I am not a proponent of tariffs, but I got to tell you, given the individuals and groups that are enriching themselves thanks to their complicity with Chinese communists, boy, you almost got me rethinking my position, NBA. And, of course, the courtship of Hunter's father, Biden, Team Biden, Joe and Hunter. Let me tell you about my best friend. He's one boy, cuddly toy, my up, my down, my pride and joy. Let me tell you about my Hunter Biden and his private equity concern in China.
Let me tell you about my best friend.
Hunter Biden.
Drug addict son.
Yeah.
Drug addict son.
Yeah.
How's Hunter's marriage working out?
What rhymes with drug-addled son? A little bit more development, since I know everybody's focused on Joe and Hunter and their forays into Ukraine.
I'm sure he'll be on the campaign trail soon with his dad, I'm sure.
What about China? We have to, parcel this out and then distill it and repeat it so that it becomes shareable. And Peter Schweitzer's done a great job of doing that, even though his book Secret Empires has been out for more than a year. Maybe a couple by now.
People are starting to catch on now.
It takes a while.
No, repeat it again, because
Well, I'll let Peter Schweitzer do it. What about Hunter Biden's involvement with the Chinese and his private equity concern with John Kerry's stepson?
Oh.
And what was Joe Biden doing as vice president that may have provided monetary benefit to his son Hunter, as well as John Kerry's stepson and their investors.
And they all went together, though, on the U.S. plane to China.
Well, listen to one investment that Hunter Biden's private equity concern had, this Chinese company, and what exactly they were doing as it pertains to U.S. nuclear secrets.
Hunter Biden partnered with a Chinese company affiliated with the People's Liberation Army that was caught stealing U.S. nuclear secrets while his father, Joe Biden, was vice president.
Alan Ho was a senior engineer with a Chinese company called CGN, China Global Nuclear. This is a company that Hunter Biden's investment firm, Bohai Harvest, buys a stake into in 2014.
Alan Ho, who lived 5 miles from Joe Biden's home in Delaware, spent 2 decades acquiring highly guarded atomic technology on behalf of a company controlled by the Chinese military, the China General Nuclear Power Group. Ho's guilty plea deal was struck 2 weeks before Donald Trump became president.
Less than a year later, that same company, CGN, is charged by the FBI with attempting to steal nuclear secrets in the United States, and Alan Ho pleads guilty to those charges.
One of Ho's targets was a unique dual commercial military use nuclear reactor, Schweitzer said.
The central concern about CGN involved this small nuclear reactor that had multiple uses for both civilian use and for military use. It was very intricately designed, but it wasn't just the nuclear reactor. It's also the unique piping system that was used to fuel or more importantly, to cool this nuclear system.
The president of the Government Accountability Institute said, at the time of the FBI's investigation, Hunter's father was negotiating with the Chinese about navigation rights in the South China Sea, and his business partner in Chinese ventures was Chris Hines, the stepson of the then Secretary of State, John Kerry.
Remarkably, when this story broke of the FBI going after CGN, nobody knew the connection. I don't think anybody even imagined the idea that the son of the vice president and this investment firm that was half owned by Chris Hines actually owned a stake in this company.
So add CGN to Burisma and the foreign companies you need to familiarize yourself with to be conversant on the topic. And again here, we don't know what Vice President Biden did in his negotiations with the Chinese over South China Sea shipping lanes. May have had nothing to do with the CGN or any business interests of Hunter Biden and Chris Hines. Don't know. But we know this. Just as with Burisma, it's a conflict of interest. It's unseemly. And Joe Biden should have disclosed it, just as he should have disclosed his son's business interests in Ukraine prior to intervening in Ukrainian politics. He should have disclosed it to the president. He should have disclosed it to the public if the president said, we're going to send you anyway. You're going to be my point man in Ukraine and China anyway. That's a real issue. For more on this topic, as well as Elizabeth Warren's fuzzy math on taxes, we're pleased to be joined by Steve Moore, economist, Wall Street Journal columnist, author of Trumponomics, Inside the America First Plan to Revive Our Economy. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hi, guys. Good
Hello.
morning. By the way, Dan, I do not like what you're implying. I mean, you seem to be implying there was some kind of pay-to-play activity going on with the Bidens, and I just find that offensive.
You'll have to deal.
That kind of thing never happens in Washington.
No. I guess perhaps I'm a bit cynical because it does happen from time to time in Chicago and Illinois. So maybe I just see pay to play everywhere.
True. That has tainted you. Well, look, I mean, I'm not an expert on what the Bidens did and what they didn't, but I agree with you that the fact that none of this was ever disclosed by the Biden family and the conflicts of interest, I mean, the story just gets worse and worse for them. And the problem, with this, for the Democrats, for this whole impeachment strategy, is that the collateral damage, obviously, is Biden. And so it looks like in order to take down Trump, which I don't think they're going to be able to do, they're willing to throw Biden under the bus. And that the big winner, of course, is the woman you were just asking me about, Elizabeth Warren, because she's like the last woman standing.
Yeah, but what about another woman entering the race, and that's possibly Hillary Clinton? Did you hear about that?
Well, Hillary Clinton's dream come true. Hillary Clinton's dream come true. I mean, Trump would, even if they put Trump in jail, he'd be Hillary Clinton. The one thing we know the American people don't want is Hillary Clinton to be president. However, it's so interesting, Amy. I thought you were going to ask me about another former first lady who I think I am very worried about, and you know who I'm talking about.
Michelle Obama's not going to run.
Michelle. I think Michelle is my prediction on the Dan and Amy show. Is I predict that I've been predicting this for months that the savior of the Democratic Party will be Michelle Obama. I believe she's going to get in this race sometime in December or January, come in galloping on her white horse and be the savior of the party. She's the most respected woman in America, according to People magazine, and they're never wrong, right?
No, of course.
Wait, where are you getting this information from? Is this just how you feel or think, or are you? Is it
that's
sources
a good
telling
question,
you this?
Amy. So I have one of my good friends is a close friend to the Obamas, okay. And every time I bring this up with him, he says, "No, that's never going to happen. Michelle's never going to in the race." But I do know a lot of other political operatives on the Democratic Party side, and they are terrified they've got a losing hand right now, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what are they going to do? Run the mayor, who's been mayor of South Bend, Indiana? They're going to, they don't have anybody. Elizabeth Warren is a crazy, left wing. Look, when you have, the president of Facebook, Zuckerberg, who's the most liberal wacko a CEO in the country, the most socialist, pro big government guy, who says, Elizabeth Warren's even too liberal for me. I mean, that should tell you something about the politics of Elizabeth Warren. I just can't imagine the Democrats are going to jump off that cliff and nominate someone who is going to be the Michael Dukakis of the 21st century for the Democrats. And so I just think that someone new is going to get in this race because the field is so pathetic on the Democratic side. And the only one I can see that would be a huge problem for Donald Trump is Michelle Obama. And by the way, if she gets in the race, don't you guys, she just clears away the field like they're bowling pins. I mean, she will, prance her way to the nomination. She has the entire Obama machine behind her. She'll have no problem raising, $50 million in 2 weeks. And I just don't think anybody could possibly compete with her on the Democrat side. Now, look, we don't know anything about Michelle Obama in terms of, how she could stand up under scrutiny and things like that. But my God, what a pathetic field of Democrats. I mean, you were talking last week about Elizabeth Warren. She wants to basically take away right-to-work laws in 29 states, which would force millions of working-class Americans against their will, to pay union dues to union bosses to enrich the coffers of the unions to no benefit of the workers themselves. The workers don't want to join the unions, and Elizabeth Warren, who says she cares about middle-class workers, would force people against their will to join unions.
Well, first, with respect to Michelle Obama, let me allay your fears. You've been wrong for months, and you continue to be wrong. She's not going to run.
Well, what have I been wrong about?
You just said you've been saying for months that she's going to run.
Said that she's going to get in late.
She's not going to get in. She's not going to get in. She's not going to run.
All right. Well, by the way, Dan, I hope you're right and I'm wrong.
I know.
Because I look at the field, the only person I see who can beat Donald Trump right now out there. I mean, is there somebody else? I want to know who can get in this field on the Democratic side, because this is look, I've listened to the debates. These people are pathetic. They don't have one good idea on the economy. It's all just left-wing, socialist gibberish, statism, and I just don't think the American people are anywhere near where the left wing of the Democratic Party is. Now, you guys are tainted. You live in Chicago, where that kind of stuff plays. It doesn't play in Nebraska. It doesn't.
Yes, I know. And the only one who could beat President Trump is President Trump at this point, and perhaps
that's true, John.
Perhaps
you know what?
the economy
Dan, that's one of the wisest
yes.
things. By the way, I met with the president yesterday. I was in the Oval Office. We spent with Larry Kudlow. We spent about an hour with him. He's very upbeat, by the way. But I said the same thing to him. I said exactly what you said. I said, Mr. President, the only one who can beat you in November of 2020 is you. So stop some of the tweeting, stop some of the the behavior that drives people crazy. Act a little bit more presidential. It's not a hard thing for him to do, and then I think he will be, because this economy, I mean, that's why the reason you guys have me on, right, to talk about the economy. The economy is booming right now. Booming. We got a $5,000 increase in median income wage and salaries of workers. $5,000 since Trump came into office. That compares with the $1,000 under Obama.
Yeah, but first of all, I assume you got thrown out of his office after you said those things to him that he needs to.
Well, he did grimace a little bit.
Secondly, but there's some indicators, manufacturing indices and others of a real slowdown that is starting to create some anxiety, including for me.
Well, that's a good point. Look, manufacturing is falling apart. Boy, you're a Debbie Downer today, Dan. I mean, come on. You're always finding the cloud, not the silver lining.
Well,
no, you're right. I am worried about the industrial production. We talked about that with the president. He said, well, what do I do? How can I make sure that we don't have any kind of recession in 2020? And you and I, the three of us, know the answer to that question, right?
Yes.
Get a trade deal
repeal
with China.
The tariff increases. All of the tariff increases on the EU too.
What's that?
I said walk back the tariff spikes, including on the EU, not just China. Yes.
Well, we said that. We said, look, it doesn't make sense to start a trade war with Europe when you're in the middle of one with the Chinese. And we did say, and this is something you guys can help with because you're in a very democratic town, can you help us get Nancy Pelosi to bring the U.S. Canada Mexico trade agreement to a floor to the House vote on on the floor so that we can pass that, because it would pass by 30 or 40 votes, but she's just holding up. She doesn't want to hand Trump any kind of political victory, but that would be enormous gain to the economy. It would help our farmers. It would help our manufacturers. It would put more pressure on China, and she's bottling it up. So, but yeah, we got to get a trade deal done with China. And Dan, you've kind of convinced me on this. We've got to get something. And what I told him was, look, get what they call a skinny deal. It's not going to be any major concessions, but it'll be something. It might be temporary. And I said, Mr. President, get reelected. That'll get you reelected, and then you can beat the crap out of China in your second term.
There you go. He is Steve Moore, economist, Wall Street Journal columnist. The book, Trumponomics, Inside the America First Plan to Revive Our Economy. Steve, thanks for being with us.